Hey everyone, so today I'm going to dive into the Australian dollar US dollar. And good news, if you're holding Australian dollars needing to go to the US, we've climbed to the highest point since November. So we've had months and months of sideways movement. That's finally broken above that 65 cent mark and held there for a couple of days. So new data released this morning. It's pulled back slightly, but overall it's been positive. So what we're looking at is this part of a longer term uptrend, or are we getting faked out? We're going to drop back into this range. Let's break it down. We'll talk about what's happening with the US and Australia. I'll run through the charts and we can discuss what's upcoming. We've got both the FOMC and RBA making decisions on their interest rates this month, and that's normally the biggest driver of a currency. So let's dive in and we'll have a look. So here we are. So earlier this week, we've seen the Australian dollar break out of this long range it's been in since the start of April. Pretty much just been sitting between 64 and 65 cents, as you can see, when we drop out to a daily chart here. So it's been doing nothing, really. After Trump came in, around November, you're seeing a huge sell-off. Ever since January, the US dollar started to weaken with all his on-again, off-again trade talks and what's happening. So where we're at the moment is sideways until this week. We broke out sort of last Thursday. Done it a few times before, as you can see, but it's just come back straight in. This week, a little bit different. So Friday stayed out, Monday opened stronger, and Tuesday, Wednesday sort of gone a bit sideways. So what we're looking at is this morning, Australian data came out. Retail sales came out a little bit lower than expected at 0.2%, which was below the expected 0.4%. So that's where you might have seen, this little red bar for now. But overall, it's pressure on the US dollar. So there's a lot of things going on. There's fiscal concerns in the US dollar. They think they're going to cut rates over there and potentially cut them 2 to 3 times this year. The next meeting for them is in the 31st of July, so at the end of this month. But if you've been following the news, there's a lot of pressure from Donald Trump on Jerome Powell to cut rates. He wants them down at least another 1%. And we've got a lot of figures coming out this week from the US as well, which will touch base on all of that. So whether this is just going to be a fake out or a new sort of breakout, what we want to do is ideally see it for the Australian dollar point of view is sit up here, not drop back into this sort of box here and just sit above that 65 cent mark for a few days, even have a little retracement but stay higher and then push on. So if you're an athlete earning Australian dollars that need to send it home to the US, or you're importing, exporting, buying property over there, you're at the highest rate since November. So a very, very positive time. Now, on the flip side of that, if you are earning US dollars, sending it back to Australia, this is a time to be a bit concerned potentially. So now we're looking at, if this keeps going higher, obviously your US is going to be worth less. So sending money home, potentially you're going to be losing out. If we flip it around and look at that from a US to Aussie point of view, which is this chart, as you can see, now looking like it's slightly going down. We're still around that 151, 152. Next stage, if it does get to that sort of 70 cent mark, over the next few months, you could be back here around that sort of 140 to 145. So definitely worth thinking about seeing what's happening, in the market. So as I said, there's a lot of data coming out this week in regards to the US, and also then on Friday, it is July 4th. So they're going to have a public holiday. So pretty much tonight and tomorrow, there might be a bit of movement, a bit of news. Outside of that, it'll be a quiet Friday, and then we'll have to wait and see again on Monday what happens. But as always, if you're an athlete, an agent, association, you're dealing in US dollars, now's a very crucial time. So there's a lot of uncertainty around the trade deals happening between the US with Europe, China, Canada, and everyone else. Obviously, the war news has sort of died down a little bit in the background, which has led to this little bit more of stability in the markets, at least for now. But at any moment, that could obviously all just take off again, and there'll be uncertainty, and that causes big moves in the market. So as per normal, if you have any questions, if you are earning overseas income in US dollars, needing to bring it back to Australia, Europe, the UK, wherever it may be, feel free to book a call with me. You can find the link in the description. I would be happy to run through it all with you. As always, thanks very much for listening. If you do like the content or find it valuable, please drop a like or a comment or reach out to me and just let me know if you'd like to see anything else.